you can make a life-saving difference. Service Dogs Saving Lives, a Night of Hope. Founded by Linda and Paul Johnson, www.sdslhope.org, providing service dogs to veterans, first responders, and others.
The company grew thanks to people like Linda and Paul, who have donated so much to us. It takes about anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000 per dog to fully train a service dog. So their generous donation, Paul just told me that they're trying to get us to, they're donating enough to try to get us to raise basically 3 dogs just in this year, which is significant for us. This dog here is Peter. And people always say, oh, Peter, it's a human name, but there's always meaning behind the names of these dogs that we breed and train. This dog specifically, if you guys are familiar with World War II, the PT-109 boats, John F. Kennedy and the PT-109 boats, there's a movie on it. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. So their call sign is Peter Tear. And that's what the dog is named after. The family that sponsored him, the father was a surgeon within the PT-109 boats. So they named the dog Peter Tear. But going to my story, so I'm a Pennsylvania State Trooper. In 2014, I had 9 years on the job, and this individual used a sniper rifle trying to kill everyone coming in and out of our station who was wearing a uniform because he wanted to start what he called a government revolution. So one corporal in uniform was shot leaving work that night, which was 11 p.m. I happened to be working a midnight shift. I was coming into work. I just happened to work a construction zone overtime shift the previous morning, so I was already in uniform. And I was in the lower parking lot. At the time, I was preparing to run a marathon. I was a huge marathon runner. And as I was unloading a bag from our patrol unit into my personal vehicle in our parking lot area, that's when I heard this gunshot happen. As he shot that corporal coming out, I ended up hearing the gunshot. I looked up in front of our station, didn't know what to think at first. Because this is, again, it's September. It's after Labor Day. There was a guy down the street who was selling fireworks. I'm thinking maybe he let a couple of his fireworks off after Labor Day to get rid of them, And as I looked up, I noticed somebody laying out in front of our station. Second thought that came to my head is, somebody from the previous shift brought a DUI in, a suspect in for DUI. And what we do is we fingerprint them, process them, and then we call somebody that they know for a ride who's sober, and we release them from our station. But they sit in the lobby, somebody supervises them. One thinking, well, shift changed, everyone left. Nobody's supervising him. He walked out, fell face first and just smacked his face off the curb. And now I have to deal with it because I'm the shift change, actually the supervisor at the time. I was the senior trooper, so I had to go deal with it. So as I'm approaching this trooper that's laying there, I didn't know it was a trooper at the time, but as I'm approaching this individual, as I'm getting closer and closer, I'm realizing that this is one of our guys in uniform that's laying there. And as I get closer and closer, I knew who it was, and his name is Corporal Brian Dixon. So my first instinct in training is to get him into safety. Don't leave a fellow trooper behind. It's just like the military. So I grab his left foot. I bend over like this to grab his left foot, and boom, right through my back, I get shot and dropped instantly right to my knees. I went head first into the doors, broke the glass, and I'm crawling on my arms and knees, dragging my legs behind. I thought I was paralyzed. Couldn't feel anything from the waist down. And you're wondering why I have all these tattoos. It's because I have scars all over my arms, so I try to cover it up. As I crawled across the perimeter of our lobby, and the reason I crawled through the perimeter of our lobby is because if that person shot again, they have clean sight into the front of our lobby if I crawled straight across to that other door to get inside to safety from the lobby, I would have got shot again. So just basic instinct. Two other troopers came out, dragged me right inside. I told them right exactly what happened. I said, don't go out through that door. Somebody's shooting at us. I got inside. A couple other troopers started doing CPR on me. They medevaced me to the nearest hospital, which is in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I received some treatment. I was in the hospital for about 30 days. To date, I went through 23 surgeries. In 2019, one of the surgeons, I went to New York City to the best hospitals, to the best surgeons, and they all told me you would be better off with your leg amputated. Just because of nerve damage, and they said sooner or later you're going to start getting blood clots, et cetera, et cetera. It's just going to go downhill. And I was at a standpoint. I was basically wearing leg braces and I was dragging my legs, and it wasn't working for me. I was a very active person and I went to nothing. I became very depressed at that point in time because I couldn't work out. I was huge into working out, doing, like I said, ultra marathons. I've done regular marathons, half marathons, everything. I've done it all. And I was huge into CrossFit, and I couldn't do that. So I felt like there was no purpose in my life anymore when I was sitting in these hospitals. And as time went on, I met a friend of mine who's a wounded veteran who also lost his leg in Afghanistan. And what we do is the two of us usually do a lot of public speaking together, and we go around and he tells his side of the story from Afghanistan, and then how he adapted a life coming back into the US, and how I lost my leg in 2019 because my family and I decided upon what my veteran friend quoted to me as, you do what would be best for your quality of life. And this amputation, as bad as it looks, and as people probably look at me and stare at me, not you guys, I'm just saying, like in airports and everything, and they feel bad for me. I'm very well off physically and medically because I had this amputation. Life is great right now, but it took a while to get there. And like I said, when I was in these hospitals, I felt like I had no purpose in life. I had no what they call team in life because my team was the Pennsylvania State Troopers who I worked with, my friends, my teammates. I had no team. I didn't even think I'd be returning back to work. Where's my life going on from here? So I got very, very down, very depressed. And I was going through physical rehab. And like I said, I met my friend who got me involved in a lot of these groups who are not just veterans, but they help out also first responders now. When the airports, they always question because these people bring in peacocks and everything else on and they always question us, and they said, what is he used for? And they're not even supposed to ask that, but they said, what is he used for? And I said, he's a mobility service dog. So he actually does help me and is trained for balance. He usually walks on my right side where my right leg is amputated. And I could lean on him or fall on him. Now he is getting old, so he's kind of getting a little skittish, like he's pulling me right now and he's not supposed to. He was trained to open doors, handicap doors, the buttons, the big square buttons that you see, that you push. He's actually trained to go up there and hit them with his nose and open up the doors. Like, it's very intensive training, and it takes about 2 years to train a service dog. And what we're all based off is donations. Just like donations, just like Paul and Linda, and like that you guys are hosting tonight, and all of you guys who are donating, that money helps our foundation. And I know personally, the individual that was supposed to be here speaking tonight, one of these dogs actually saved his life, at PTSD and all that. So, and he was in law enforcement. But it's not just, the dog doesn't just help that specific person. It doesn't just help me, but it helps my whole family. Like if my girls are coming home, I have a 12 and 14-year-old stepdaughters, who come home from school, and the 12-year-old is going through that change, and you knew that was coming, and you don't know what you're getting each day, and she comes home, and she'll go right over to him and pet him or lay next to him and just calms her down. And it's not just that. It's when I go to my doctor's office, or I should say doctors. I have 9 of them. If I don't bring him, I get yelled at, number one. Number two, it actually calms them down too. Like, the dog isn't just for me. Like I said, he calms not just me, but he helps everyone, and that's what our organization does. And that's what these dogs do. And a lot of people don't understand the relationship between a dog and a human, but it's amazing what these dogs are able to do and be trained to do. And, it's people like this Paul and Linda, just from their foundation of what they do and the donations and the money that we get is what keeps our company going, because that's what we're based out of. That dog is specifically trained for this person and their needs, even if they're in a wheelchair. I just saw one of our graduates. He was a triple amputee. They trained this dog to actually pull him in a wheelchair and stuff. Like, it's crazy, the stuff that they're able to do. But they train these dogs specifically for that applicant for 2 years. And then they bring that person, that recipient down, and they don't charge that person. That it's at no cost, is what I'm saying. Again, we're Valor Service Dogs. And like I said, it's the donations. It's everything that you guys do. Thank you guys for being here tonight and sponsoring us and doing what you're doing, because it keeps our organization going. And it's not just, it's saving lives. That's what you guys do. And that's what these dogs do. They save lives. So I'm going to leave you with this. 3 P's that I always go by. Every day I put my leg on, I always think about this incident. You can't help it. You can't, like we were just saying, they always tell us at the police academies, leave work at work and forget about it and don't bring it home. You can't do that. You can't shut it off. It goes home with you, And, I go by the 3 P's: purpose, perseverance, and positivity. And that's what gets me through every day, along with this dog and people like Paul and Linda and all of you guys for donating to our group and our foundation. So I can't thank you enough. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Our deepest gratitude to Alex Douglas, retired Pennsylvania State Trooper. To learn more about our life-saving mission, visit www.sdslhope.org.